In Gaza, the number of Palestinians killed so far amounts to 28,473, although a higher figure is estimated because many are under the rubble. According to the UN, criminal groups in Haiti are increasing their activity in the country. And Indian authorities deployed a harsh security mechanism against the march of thousands of farmers to New Delhi who demand protection of the prices of their crops. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos and from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba, we begin with the news. Israel is perpetrating the most heinous massacre of the century. The number of Palestinians killed so far amounts to 28,473, although a higher figure is estimated because many are under the rubble. The Gazan authorities have delivered a news report of the victims of the genocidal operation. In the last 24 hours, the occupying troops committed 16 massacres in the Palestinian enclave, killing 133 civilians and injuring 162. According to the register, the number of wounded amounts to 68,146. Both killed and injured are mostly women and children. It is estimated that they represent more than 80% of the victims of the attacks. Also, the number of bodies under the rubble, missing and kidnapped could overwhelmingly raise the statistics. On Tuesday, the Ezzedine al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, announced that the Zionist occupation forces killed 3 Israeli citizens. In this regard, the brigade stressed that the 3 dead Israeli citizens were among the 8 captives who were seriously wounded in the raids in the Gaza Strip. On the other hand, the statements stressed that the identity of the victims targeted by the military attacks of their own government will be revealed as soon as they know the medical conditions of the wounded, a situation that has been worsening in the recent hours due to the lack of medical supplies and medicines to assist them. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Middle East confirmed the death of one of the workers in Gaza due to the Israeli shooting. The commissioner of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, Philippe Lazzarini, denounced the death of another humanitarian worker in the city of Khan Yunis in the southwest of the Strip. Lazzarini added that the workers' bodies could not be recovered despite multiple attempts and insisted that humanitarian workers must be protected. In its latest report, the UNRWA recorded the death of 154 of its humanitarian workers. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Spain denied this Tuesday to have authorized any sale of military material to Israel. This led to information disseminated by some national media, according to which in the month of November, Madrid would have authorized the export of ammunition to Israel for a value of 987,000 euros. However, the Secretary of State for Trade attached to the ministerial office confirmed that no sale had materialized after October 7th, reiterating also that the material that Spain exported before that date to Israel in no case is material that can be used in the conflict. On Monday, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, assured that there is a plan to guarantee at least 6 weeks of ceasefire in the Gaza area. Biden declared after a meeting with Jordan's King Abdullah II that the key elements of the deal were on the table, but still there were gaps to be remained. Senior officials from the U.S., Egypt, Israel, and Qatar were expected to meet in Cairo to work on the 3-phase framework that would try to achieve the release of hostages and also would establish an extended pause. The U.S. head of state even spoke about ending the war, although he didn't explain how. On the other hand, King Abdullah II returned his sight to the serious situation of the Palestinian enclave. China abandoned this Tuesday its moderate stance regarding the conflict in other countries and urged Israel to stop its military operations in Rafah. The spokesman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported in a meeting with the press that Beijing had made a call to avoid a more devastating humanitarian disaster in Rafah. By expressing that China watches events in the area closely, he reiterated that the government opposes and condemns acts against civilians and the international law. For weeks, the United Nations organization has been alerting about the development of a military operation by the occupying army in an area where more than 1 million innocent civilians live. And with TeleSUR, you can now celebrate one of the largest festivals in the South American continent. Gladys Quesada brings you all the details in this Carnival Time 2024. Tune in every day this week at 7 p.m. Caracas time through our Facebook Live at TeleSUR English Official and X account at TeleSUR English and discover our most colorful celebrations. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights reported on Tuesday that criminal groups in Haiti are increasing their activity in the country. As a result, hundreds of citizens have become displaced by the war between criminal groups and the government. Although these groups have lost up to 300 of their members in the month of January alone, violence does not decrease. Citizens claim that the exchanges of fire last for hours, which suggests that they have received more ammunition. In the midst of war, civilians are injured, abducted, murdered, and women and girls continue to be sexually attacked. The serious situation is expected to be reviewed on Tuesday at the UN Security Council. And on Monday, the second international meeting of theoretical publications of the left-wing parties and movements began. The event is taking place at the Convention Palace in the capital city of Havana and will last until Wednesday, February 14th. The forum brings together intellectuals, political parties, movements, and popular forces from Cuba and 32 other countries to discuss the importance of unity and the position of youth in the face of fascism and neo-fascism. The meeting is considered important for progressive and leftist forces, given the worsening of the international crisis, the rise of governments of the extreme right-wing ideology, and the delay in the emergence of a new multipolar world order. On Sunday, a survey revealed that 86% of U.S. citizens consider that President Joe Biden is too old to serve a second term. A survey by ABC News and the consulting company Ipsos again revealed U.S. citizens' concerns about Joe Biden's age. The survey includes that 73% of Democrats think that Biden, at age 81, is too old to hold the office, while 35% of the Republicans believe the same about Trump. The survey comes to light days after Special Attorney Robert Hur's report was made public, which cast questions on Biden's cognitive abilities, which he referred to as Biden being an understanding, well-intentioned elder with a bad memory. On Tuesday, the divergences within the Supreme Electoral Tribunal of El Salvador continue to obscure the counting of the votes to integrate the Legislative Assembly. This situation is part of the problems faced in several aspects of the presidential and legislative elections held in February, of which only the re-election of Nayib Bukele as president is already known by decision of the vast majority of those who went to cast their vote. In this way, the crisis within the electoral authority increased after 4 out of 5 substitute magistrates said that they would not support illegal and incorrect decisions made by the governing body of the elections regarding the final scrutiny of the Legislative Assembly election and the planning of the elections on Sunday, March 3rd. The High Commissioner for Peace of Colombia, Oti Patiño, described the arms stoppage decreed by the National Liberation Army, the ELN, as disloyal to the agreements. Patiño thus assured on Monday that he gave statements from the Palace of Nariño, headquarters of the national government, in reference to this stoppage and other acts of violence that have occurred in the departments of Cauca and Nariño. The High Commissioner assured that they threaten the lives and freedoms of thousands of citizens. The Western War Front, Omar Gomez of the ELN, declared an armed strike on February 8th after accepting the extension of the truce on February 6th during the sixth round of negotiations held in Cuba. This armed stoppage often restricts the movement of vehicles and roads and the mobility of people, threatening attacks on those who transit the tracks, even if they are in caravans escorted by the army. Also in Colombia, the Minister of Justice, Nestor Osuna, announced on Monday the state of emergency in prisons due to increase in violence in several penitentiary centers of the country against officials of the National Penitentiary and Prison Institute. On the other hand, the head of the institution, Daniel Fernando Gutierrez, emphasized that the declaration will allow the incorporation of police and army personnel in order to guarantee order in the prisons. The measure comes after reports of 2 murders and 4 attacks against prison personnel in Cartagena, Jamundí, and Tuluá. At the same time, Colombian authorities informed that Public Prosecutor's Office will be asked to appoint a prosecutor to specially investigate the crimes and threats against the members of the National Penitentiary and Prison Institute. In Argentina, community kitchens continue to demand the delivery of food. The Union of Workers of the Popular Economy filed on Monday an injunction of the Ministry of Human Capital to deliver food to the community dining rooms. In this sense, the document states that there is a budget to provide assistance, but the state inaction generates that many people cannot access a daily meal. Furthermore, the text points out that the main right affected is the food of those who attend the soup kitchens and depend on them to survive. In turn, they point out that since Javier Milei assumed the presidency, these spaces have stopped receiving any type of input or transfer of funds. And now we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and also share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Indian authorities deployed a harsh security mechanism against the march of thousands of farmers to New Delhi who demand protection of the prices of their crops. The police have deployed barriers with sharp wires, spikes, and concrete blocks to prevent the passage of tractors and trucks. They've also thrown tear gas from a drone in Haryana. From this place and from Punjab, thousands of farmers started their protest march to demand a guaranteed minimum support price for all their products and for the government to fulfill the promise made in 2021, according to which they would double their income. And Tuesday is the last day of Carnival in Brazil, and our reporter Brian Meir is in the streets of Olinda, where the party refuses to die down.
For those who celebrate Carnival around the world, today is called Fat Tuesday. It's the last day before Ash Wednesday, which in the Catholic tradition marks the beginning of Lent, when people have to give up something they love for a period of 40 days until the Easter holiday arrives. So it marks the final day of Carnival, and here in Olinda, the sister city of Recife, Pernambuco, which was founded in the 1500s, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This only means one thing: the meeting of the giant puppets. Giant puppets are tradition in Olinda's carnival going back over 100 years. They can represent different politicians or celebrities. They even have a giant puppet of John Travolta, but some of them have religious significance. And the most famous of them all is Midnight Man, first created in 1932 by two plumbers, a cobbler, and a house painter. Midnight Man represents a kalunga, which is a kind of spirit in the candomblé Afro-Brazilian religious tradition. In Olinda and Recife has almost a cult-like following, and when this puppet comes out on the streets today, people are going to go crazy. So as the last day of Carnival begins, millions of people across Brazil, hundreds of thousands of people here in Recife and Olinda can't get enough of it. They're coming out on the streets. They're going to celebrate like there's no tomorrow.
And in Trinidad and Tobago, the carnival floods the streets with the sounds of steel bands. The pan is the national instrument and also a symbol of the African culture in the Caribbean. Our special envoy Gladys Quesada brings us the joy of the festivities in the following cover.
After a year of secret rehearsals to confound the competition, hours of costumes, choreography, and jealous preparation, the steel pan bands finally arrive at the central stage of Savannah's Park, where they have their special night at the carnival. They arrive in order with a calmness that hides the revelry and energy they then display on stage.
The panorama here is one of the greatest shows ever. I mean, you see so much talent, from players to arrangers to event planners, organizers. This is easily one of the greatest shows ever anywhere in the world, and I'm happy to be here for another year. Here in Trinidad, Carnival is big. It's huge. I mean, millions of people come from all over, and what is great about it is so much blending of cultures. People from
the steel pan is a very important part of the Carnival culture, and it's good to preserve it because music is a big part of Carnival. If you go to the Cambly riots and you look at the history of Carnival, along the way, pan was invented, our national instrument, and we incorporated it into the Carnival season, and it is a prominent part. It's a great part of the season.
This spectacle of culture and splendor will not have been possible centuries ago. In the 18th century, the English slavers forbade the use of any kind of percussion for fear of the rebellious code communicated by the African drums, but the story goes that no one can change the music. The slaves found in the frying pans the pan, another way to break the silence. Today, it is a source of local and regional pride.
Pan is very important because it encourages youth to steer in a positive direction. They always look at youth in a particular light, and steel band kind of shines and give them the opportunity to express themselves positively and give them a platform.
According to the indentations, the thickness of the metal or the intensity of the touch, each barrel emits a different note. For this reason, they are classified as the tones of the voice. Today, in the middle of 2024, the steel pan is the national instrument. The island teaches every detail of its manufacture and interpretation with its own professorship. Schools and ponyards also abound, popular spaces that unite the community around music and have a profound social impact.
It's very positive. It helps the crime rate and all those stuff because I came from a very dangerous area, and pan saved me a lot. Sometimes you're walking home and something bad might happen, but because you're in pan, it might end up blocking you from wherever it could happen. So I believe it's actually positive to do an extra activity outside of school.
The steel bands are not only focused on interpreting the soca and calypso of the moment, they also interpret their own pieces which take months to compose. They are then a black and popular symphony of the rebellion, the resistance, and the Caribbean identity. For TeleSUR English, from Trinidad and Tobago, as Special Envoy Gladys Quesada.
Meanwhile, in Bolivia, the Oruro Carnival once again dazzled and amazed with its majesty, variety of dances, multicolor costumes, and joy. Unlike other carnivals, the Oruro Carnival is a 3.5-kilometer pilgrimage dancing to the sanctuary of the Virgen del Socavón. Our correspondent Freddy Morales tells us all the details.
It is said that the Oruro Carnival began like this, as a procession that evolved into a pilgrimage, and this pilgrimage into dance and music.
The devotion we have towards Mamita del Socavón, the Saturdays of pilgrimage are for her. We dance in devotion for her, for every favor she fulfills for us, because we are believers. I come every year. The little Virgin always fulfills me. Greetings for my family. By faith to Mamita del Socavón, who gives us life and health, and we will continue dancing until Mamita gives us life and health, but above all, because we have faith.
This carnival performs 20 dance specialties, as the local authorities of the event say, which are performed by more than 50,000 dancers, men and women who dance for 3.5 kilometers to reach the shrine of the Virgen del Socavón.
Spectacular! We once a year travel from Chile, because we are from Chile. It is incomparable. We brought our daughter for the first time, and she was fascinated. It is something that does not compare to any carnival. It is majestic, as they say, in honor of the Virgin del Socavón. It's something expected every year in Bolivia, nationally and internationally, because we expect 100% Bolivians in the Carnival of Oruro, where all the dances are 100% Bolivian. We come from La Paz. It is a very nice tradition. All the dances are very elegant, very nice. We are having fun. Long life the Carnival.
The most ancient and classic dances have a religious and social feeling, like the Diablada, whose origin is lost in the time before the Spanish colonialism. But when this took place, it meant once again that the struggle between good and evil. In the end, the Archangel Gabriel, guided by the Virgin, defeats the demons, and together they enter the Catholic Church.
To thank her for all that she gives us, this pilgrimage is a promise to offer, through dancing, our gratitude, our faith, strengthened in the affection towards the Virgin, happy to come at her feet. After 20 years, we are still on pilgrimage for the little Virgins of Socavón, always for Mamita. In this date, the pilgrimage.
Or the Morenada, which relieved the transfers of slaves from Africa on foot to the mines of Potosi, on the high plateau, at 4,000 meters above the sea level, with almost no oxygen. Their tongues hang out of their mouths, and their eyes bulge out of their sockets. The rattle reproduces the sound of the chains. The pilgrimage concludes on their knees before the image of the Virgin.
Tiring, very tiring. It is 4 kilometers, very strong march to get here with masks, to arrive at the Little Virgin, but we fulfilled a new year. It is my first year dancing, but it is a very nice experience. I feel very blessed by the Virgin del Socavón, very happy to be 3 years old. Are you going to continue? If the Little Virgin allows me to do so, of course I will.
Each dance has a meaning, and here are represented the indigenous dances of the Amazon and the main customs of various people of Bolivia. By 50,000 dancers, nearly 20,000 musicians distributed in 70 bands, this cultural expression has been recognized by UNESCO as oral and intangible heritage of humanity.
Desde la ciudad de Oruro, Freddy Morales, TeleSUR, Bolivia.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.